I'm gonna tell y'all the story of how I found out I was expecting identical triplets. November of 2020, around Thanksgiving, I found out I was pregnant, and I didn't go for my first ultrasound until January 2021. I felt as though I was showing very quickly. I had already had to wear maternity jeans come January. I remember calling my sister-in-law and being like, I have to wear like maternity jeans already. She's like, oh, second kid, you just show quicker, and like I chalked it up to that. So that was really the only indicator I had. Other than that, wasn't sick. Like felt pretty good, was very excited, had very different symptoms than my daughter, so I assumed I was having a boy, which I wasn't wrong, but that's really it. So in January 2021, we are still dealing with like COVID restrictions. My husband could not go to the appointment with me. I went to the Army hospital, and thankfully my husband, Tom, was down the street. So if I needed anything, he was there, but I had to go to this appointment by myself. I was extremely nervous, very anxious. I think any mom that goes in for their first ultrasound is stressed because you're just hoping that baby looks good and everything. So very nervous, very stressed. I get there and I'm waiting in the waiting room, just trying to be like, everything's gonna be fine. This is gonna be great. And then I get pulled back into my midwife's office. I will never forget going into the office because she had like meditation music playing. It was like super tranquil. Like she had like aromatherapy going. There was like posters of beaches. And I remember like laying back on the bed, like on the table, and being like, you're crazy. Like, this is gonna be fine. I just had like this sense of peace. And I was like, God's got this. We're good. Midwife comes in, she does like a pelvic exam. She's like, you're definitely pregnant. I think you're measuring further along than you think you are. I'm thinking that's probably not possible, but still. So she wheels her ultrasound machine over, she puts a transducer on my belly, and immediately on there perfectly I see twins. I cannot state enough how many people joked to me before this appointment that I was going to have twins. I went to an Army Wife event like days before, and I was talking to my friend Holly, and I was like, I'm never driving a minivan, which I'm currently driving. Like, just going on, she's like, you just wait. Like, that's what happened to me. And then I had twins, and I had to get a minivan. And I was like, Holly, I'm having two and done. My friend Lauren joked I was having twins. My best friends across the street, Justin and Rebecca, joked that I was having Corazon twins. Everybody joked. I have never once been one of those women who like was like, oh, I hope I have twins one day. So I did not think it was funny. I was like, I'm not having twins, guys, two and done. Lo and behold, right now I'm having twins. So I pull out my phone and I start calling Tom at work, and he's not answering. He is at like a special breakfast for his command team or something, and he's not answering. I call like 10 times, and of course they never answer when you need them to answer. Finally, on like the 10th call, he was like, what? And I was like, we're having twins, get somewhere to FaceTime me. So Tom goes somewhere, he FaceTimes me, I show him the monitor, there's twins. Well, the midwife gets really weird and kind of quiet and like whispers to herself. She was like, I think I'm missing something. And I'm laying there being like, what do you mean? What are you missing? She calls the OBGYN on staff in, the doctor comes in. I'm still on FaceTime with Tom. She comes in, she restarts the ultrasound, and sure enough, she rolls it to the top and just like a flicker happens. And I'm like, what is that? And she rolls it to the top and we see a third baby, and she's like, you're having triplets. I proceed to shut down. I mean, I was in full on shock. I was swearing. I was crying. I remember yelling at her like, I don't have a car for this. I am an Army wife. I'm by myself all the time. I don't have any help. How? I can't have triplets. I can't have triplets. Like, just panicking. She's like, yes, you can. And don't worry about that right now. And I'm like, easy for you to say. This isn't your problem right now. And then she was like, if Octomom did it, you could. I'm like, what? I never asked to be Octomom ever at all. So anyway, they pulled me into a side room. I remember a very sweet nurse who was like rubbing my back being like, I think you're in shock. And I'm like, I can tell you I am absolutely in shock. And they're asking me about my medical care and who I want to see because Army doctors don't deal with high order multiples. So we were like trying to figure that getting that worked out. I'm crying. And I like, when I was on the phone with Tom, I just hung up and was like, come get me now. And then like hung up, and he just left work immediately to come get me at the hospital down the street. So anyway, he picks me up. I cry in his car for like 2 hours until I could get myself together enough that I could drive home. Before that, he was like, do you want me to call my parents? So he calls Len and Deb and tells them that we're having triplets. And Lenny's excited and Debbie sounds shocked and a little scared for me. And that's basically it. Next day, Len and Deb called us and they were like, we're moving to be near you for a year so we can help you with these babies, which was the kindest thing anyone's ever done for me. Referred me up to Nashville. That's where my specialists were. And we figured out that they were identical triplets, which is a 1 in 200 million occurrence. I was constantly monitored. I went to tons of appointments. It was extremely stressful, extremely lonely, and one of the lowest moments of my life was that pregnancy. It was so hard. I delivered them in June. They were healthy. They did great in the NICU. They were there for 17 days together and they all came home together. Delivery was one of the coolest things I've ever experienced, which maybe I should talk about at some point. Let me know if you want to hear about that. I brought them home, and honestly, I think that I was running off of such adrenaline after having them that everything was pretty fine. Even though I had 3 babies, because I was like, I'm alive, they're alive, and we're doing this thing and we're functioning. So I think I just ran off of that. But yeah, that was hands down the craziest day of my life thus far.